Welcome to Healthy Frontiers. My name is Dr. Bizzoni, and this show is dedicated to the education of our viewers. Tonight's topic is Krav Maga, and it's a part of the martial arts system. And my special guest is David. David owns Total Fitness in Yorktown, and I'd like to welcome him to the show tonight. He's going to talk to us about this Krav Maga.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, David.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Thanks
David,
for having me here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for coming. Tell me a bit about Krav Maga, okay? What it is, what the name means, actually.
Okay. Krav Maga is a name that is a Hebrew name, was developed in Israel. The system was developed in Israel, and it means contact combat. That's the literal translation.
Right.
For
Okay.
Krav Maga.
And tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
How did you get involved in it?
Okay. I've been doing this now for a little over 10 years. I got involved in it. I started taking martial arts many years ago simply because I needed something to do.
Right.
Didn't have any visions of anything grand. But I started taking martial arts, and I liked my instructor, who actually teaches right in Scarsdale.
Okay.
And I stuck with martial arts because I liked him so much.
Right.
And little by little, he transitioned into Krav Maga. I didn't know what Krav Maga was, but I liked my instructor, so I stayed with him, and I learned the system. And after having had experience with traditional martial arts and then learning Krav Maga, I saw the difference, and I fell in love with Krav Maga, and I decided that this is what I wanted to do, and this is what I wanted to teach.
I have to tell you, okay, Krav Maga, it's a word that a lot of people are not familiar with, right. So it's a little different. So later on in the show, we're going to have a little demo that we had done earlier. Okay. But tell me how it differs from the other martial arts. I mean, we're very familiar with karate and other martial arts. How does it differ?
Okay, it's something that we actually show in the demo that we've seen, that we've done. Basically, the best way that I can explain it in a nutshell, just to keep it very simple, Krav Maga is a very basic system of self-defense. It's a very simple system of self-defense. It uses simple techniques, simple defenses against common threats. There's nothing fancy about Krav Maga. There's nothing that's learned. It's instinctual movements, movements that the body would have no matter what. And one of the big things about Krav Maga, we tend to use one defense to address the most amount of attacks. A lot of martial arts systems pride themselves in having many different defenses against the same attack. Okay, so against whatever it may be, a knife attack, well, yeah, you can defend this way, or against the same attack, you can defend this other way, or this other way, or this other way. I remember for my traditional martial arts, right. When I took my black belt test, I had something like 11 or 12 knife defenses against the same knife attack. Right. And I thought it was great that I could do all those different things. But in reality, if you know too much, you're just going to freeze. If you know nothing, you're going to freeze. You need to know one. And that one needs to be effective every single time, even in variations of the attack.
That's right.
So that's basically the difference. One defense against the most amount of attacks.
Great. And who's your clientele? Who comes to your place for instruction?
People of all walks of life.
Okay.
From attorneys to accountants, we have housewives, we have dads, moms, everyone.
Okay.
Typically, we find that our age group, the age group that comes to Krav Maga, that seeks out Krav Maga, right. is between 25 and 55, 60. So we don't have, for the adult system, we don't have teenagers that come. We have 25, 30-year-olds that come.
Okay.
These are people that don't have the time to learn tradition. They just want to learn self-defense. Hey, teach me how to protect myself.
Oh, that's great. And do you get a lot of women?
Yes, yes.
Okay, what's the percentage of women that will come to your place?
We have about 40% women that come and take classes with us. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, how about kids, teens? And do you have separate programs for adults versus teenagers? And
yes, we have a separate. We need to separate the teens, the kids, and the adults. Totally different classes.
Yes.
Yes, we have a kids program. Kids program ages 5 to 12, and then we have a teenage program, 13 to 18, 19, 20, or whenever we feel that they're ready whenever we feel that they're mature enough to go into the adult classes.
Okay. And what kind of changes did people experience? Mental, physical?
Yeah, the biggest change that I see people experience is a mental change. Their mindset changes. People don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about confrontations, thinking about, what would I do if I'm attacked, if I'm choked, if I'm grabbed, if I'm sitting in the parking lot by myself or carrying. People don't spend a lot of time thinking about that, and I don't blame them. It's not a pleasant thought.
Right.
But we find that people that come to our classes, they begin to think about those things because they are a reality, and they're no longer, or they start to feel a little safer. They're no longer afraid of thinking about them. They actually analyze the situation and say, this is what I would do. And so they become empowered, and learning self-defense and learning how to protect yourself is very fulfilling, very empowering, and you feel great.
Right. You're not as afraid as you would be if someone is an intruder in your house or so. You're not afraid to confront that once you know what you know.
Right.
Okay. Is this great for law enforcement?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, have you guys taught law enforcement agencies and stuff?
Yes, we have law enforcement that comes in and takes classes with us.
Right.
Yes, it is suitable for law enforcement. You need to remember that it originated in Israel for the Israeli army, so that was the beginning roots, and of course it trickled down to law enforcement next.
How long has it been around the United States?
For over 20 years now.
Over 20 years. It started in the Israeli army.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's why we haven't really heard that much about it, probably. I mean, Kung Fu and the other ones go back hundreds of years.
That's right.
And this is relatively new.
Relatively
in the spectrum.
new. In the spectrum, right.
Okay. Talk to me about how you would train a law enforcement officer different than a civilian who would come to your school for training.
The basic difference, civilians, we are teaching them and telling them that, hey, if you are attacked, you need to defend yourself and get away safely as quickly as possible.
Right.
Okay, that's the goal. For law enforcement, it's totally different. Law enforcement cannot get away safely. They have to be there, and they have to, at some point, control the situation and make an arrest.
Right.
Okay, so it's very different in the way that that law enforcement needs to finish. Again, for civilians, hey, as soon as you can, get away safely. Also, for law enforcement, keep in mind that in any situation, there's always at least one weapon involved, that of the law enforcement officer. So we have to make sure that the officer knows how to protect that weapon, protect it in the holster, and should they present it, should they draw the weapon, be able to protect it while it's drawn also. So,
Sure. Okay. So it's a whole different angle to
yes.
teaching both.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the classes. What's a usual class? How do you run a class?
Okay. First, we have classes basically every day, mornings and evenings, including weekends.
Right.
So the schedule is very flexible, and the classes are structured so that if you're a newcomer, you go into the level 1 or the beginner's class. So we break up the classes into beginner, intermediate, advanced classes. So that's
How often do you have to go? Would you say on average? Per week.
Yeah, like anything else. The more you come, the quicker you learn, the better you become. But yeah, you come once, twice, you already see change.
Okay. Do you have homework at all? I mean, do you go home with practice drills, etc.?
We don't necessarily assign homework to our students, but it's inevitable when people like what they're doing. It's inevitable that they're going to practice on their own. And we do talk to our students about, hey, if you're home, this is the way you need to practice this.
Okay. Yep. And do people advance in your courses? I mean, I know that you can go from a green belt, brown belt, black belt, and other disciplines.
Right.
How about in yours?
Krav Maga is also a belted system, but we don't hand out belts. It's very informal.
Right.
In fact, I'm wearing a uniform right now, so I don't wear a belt.
Right.
It's a very informal system, but we do advance, and we call them levels, and we give certificates rather than belts. And yes, people do advance. Like anything else, you need to have a structure for people to learn. You need to have a structure so that they know, they understand what they need to learn first.
Yes.
So we're taking our students and we're teaching them to crawl before they walk, before they run, before they sprint.
Gotcha. Okay, and earlier in the show, we did a demonstration, so let's
Yes.
view that now,
Okay.
and let's take a look at that. We're going to be demonstrating some Krav Maga right now with David, and we hope we survive it.
Okay.
Go ahead, David.
So we're talking about the simplicity of Krav Maga. We're talking about how the Krav Maga system builds from very simple techniques and ultimately escalates to higher threats, and how we deal with those higher threats. Okay, so we're going to use a very simple hand defense to illustrate the point of the simplicity of Krav Maga and how it builds, how techniques build on top of one another.
Great.
Okay. Before we even start with it, I want to point out that Krav Maga is, of course, a system that's based on instinctive responses, instinctive body responses,
Yes.
Typical responses that your body would have against common situations. Okay.
Right.
So one of the first things that I want to point out is if you're walking along, minding your business, and I call out to you from behind, "Hey, look out!" One of the first things you're going to do is drop your center of gravity and pick up your hands. This is a very instinctive response that people have.
Sure.
Dropping center of gravity, picking up their hands, protecting the vital body parts. So we're going to take this basic instinctive response and turn it into a defense. Okay? This is going to be a hand defense. So what I'd like you to do now is to take your hand and come at me with a big strike. And we'll go nice and slow. Okay? So we'll take this nice and slow.
Okay.
So as you're coming at me with a big strike, I'm going to defend myself by taking my hand and making a stopping defense and stopping your incoming strike using my hand. Okay? It's not just sufficient for me to lift up my hand. I also need to take my body weight slightly in. Okay?
Okay.
The only way that I can stop your incoming attack is to make a very strong attack. If your incoming attack is very strong and I back away from it, I'm going to collapse and my defense is going to be useless. So I want to make my defense nice and strong. So as your incoming attack, I make my defense nice and strong and stay. So I want to take my body forward. Okay. This is something that we teach our students. And again, making a hand defense against something that's coming at you is a very instinctive response.
Correct.
Okay. So this is something that we teach our level 1 students. Very simple defense. You're going to try it now with me.
Okay.
So here we go. All right, good. Use the other hand. Same side hand. That's it. Very good. And here, let's go again. Good. And same side hand here.
John, I got to
Very
adjust
good.
people later.
So wait for me. Here we go. Same side hand. Same side hand. Good. And you know, right now you're
One
learning.
hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Good. And again, let's go a couple of times. Good. Now we're going to see how this escalates now. Good. And opposite side. Excellent. Okay. So you just learned a very simple hand defense against an incoming threat. Okay. Now, one of the things that we also teach our students is, of course, if someone is striking at you or wants to hit you, their goal is not just to hit you once, make a hand defense. Right? Their goal is to recoil and hit you again, and then hit you again, and maybe hit you with the other side. Right? So at some point in time, you're going to need to stop that mindset that says, I want to hit you again.
Correct.
And the only way to stop that is to hit back.
Right.
Okay?
Sure.
So we're teaching our students in level 1 to make a hand defense and taking their body weight forward. Okay?
Right.
We're also teaching our students in level 1, totally separate from this defense, how to punch. Okay?
Yes.
In level 2, we're going to take the defense and the punch and combine them. So as you're striking me nice and slow, as you're striking me with your hand, I make a defense and I make a simultaneous punch. Now your mindset is, I'm going to hit you, here I come, and suddenly you just get hit. Okay? So now we've taken a very simple hand defense in level 1. We've combined it in level 2 with a simultaneous counterattack. So that your mind no longer is telling you to hit, or it is telling you to hit, but suddenly you're hit back. Okay? While you were the aggressor, now you become the person that's the victim. Suddenly the tables have turned. Okay, you're attacking me, and now I come back at you with a punch.
Breaking that whole mental plane is so important.
It is, absolutely. So this is something that we teach our level 2 students. So now you're going to try to do the same thing, very slow.
Right.
I'm going to attack you. You're going to make a counter and simultaneously punch straight past my shoulder. Good. And let's do that again. So I make an attack, you counter and punch. That's right. Defend and punch. That's it. Excellent. One more time. Fantastic. Good. Excellent. So now this is something for level 2. Of course, we're also teaching our students how to give different types of strikes other than punches. So now we get to level 3. Okay. Now they're not just making a counter attack and a punch.
Right.
A defense and a punch. So as you strike me, and I only make a defense and a punch, but after I make my punch, I come in, engage, and begin to give additional strikes.
I see.
Okay? So now we've taken a very basic instinctive response.
Right.
We've turned it into a defense in level 1.
Correct.
And we get to practice that.
Sure.
In level 2, we'll take that defense, we'll take that hand defense and add in the counter. So now we're teaching our students, hey, something is happening to you. You better be prepared to counterattack immediately. And then that's basic principles of self-defense.
Understand.
Okay?
Yep.
Basic principles of the self-defense tell us that first we need to address the immediate danger.
Right.
Okay? Then we need to counterattack, and then we need to get away safely. Okay?
Understand. All right.
Okay,
So
those
three,
basics.
say that again. That's great.
Okay, all right. So, address the immediate danger,
Right.
counterattack
Yep.
in order to stop subsequent danger,
Correct.
okay, and get away safely.
Perfect.
So, we're teaching our students to address the immediate danger in level 1. This
Right.
is addressing the immediate danger. This is incoming strike. We're addressing the immediate danger. We're
Correct.
level 2, we're countering attack.
Correct.
Right? We keep it very simple. One counterattack. Level 3, address the immediate danger, counterattack as necessary, get away safely.
I understand.
Okay?
That's great. Yeah.
As the levels progress and the students get better, we also introduce different things like knives. Okay, need to understand that an incoming strike could be a strike, could very easily be a stab. Okay, and in the moment there is the student, the defender is not going to have the ability to recognize whether it's a punch or whether it has a knife at the end or a bottle or whatever the case is. Okay, any sharp object is not going to be able to recognize. The student, the defender, is not going to be able to recognize it. It makes no sense for us to have one defense against a punch and a separate defense against a knife attack, when in essence the attack looks the same.
Correct.
Okay?
Same motion.
Same motion, same exact motion. And this is part of the simplicity of Krav Maga, keeping one defense to address the most amount of attacks, as opposed to having different defenses for all different kind of attacks. Because then it's too many.
You may not even remember. I mean, some of this happens so quick.
Not only are you not going to remember, you're not going to know what to do. For us as instructors, it becomes very difficult to teach you because we have to teach you so many things. And for you as a student, it becomes very difficult to retain because now you're bombarded with information. I do this if it's a hand. I do this other thing if it's a knife.
Sure.
If it's the knife coming from this angle, it's totally different. Right? So, our hand
Keep it
defense,
simple.
right? Hand defense is a hand defense. So now you have a pen, right?
I do.
You have a pen.
Yep,
And
I
so
do.
you put a pen in your pocket before,
Okay,
right?
yep.
So you're going to pretend. Can I have the pen?
Sure can.
You're going to pretend that the pen is a knife,
Right.
and you're going to come at me with an overhead, same motion as you were doing before,
Okay.
with a knife attack. Okay. So we're going to see that our defense now is going to be basically the same. Go ahead, nice and slow. Counterattacks. I'm still controlling the weapon.
Still controlling
The only difference is that now I would have to disarm that weapon.
I understand. So that's the next level now.
That's the next level up. Right?
Okay.
Here's the
Let's
pen.
try that again. I like that.
Okay. So,
Right.
basic, level 1,
Yes.
level 2,
Right.
level 3.
Right.
Could be a headbutt,
Right.
whatever.
Okay.
And now we're teaching you also how to take that weapon away if need be.
And you're just going to constantly repeat this so the person will just get so comfortable doing that it's like, well,
Right,
I mean, that's
absolutely.
your goal, right?
Right, because
Yeah.
since level 1, they're learning these hand defenses.
Yeah.
So in level 1, they don't even know why they're learning them. They just know
Yeah.
that they're learning them.
Correct.
Okay. Level 2, now we're teaching them to add the punch, and they're adding the punch, and it's great. You know, now they understand. Oh, okay, yes, I need to punch when I
Right.
make this defense punch at the same time. Now level 3, we build and build and build, and before you know it, they begin to understand the reason why they're doing what they're doing. They may understand that at the very beginning because we do talk about it, but sometimes, like anything else, you start a new sport. Whatever it is, you know you like it, but you're not really sure how the whole thing fits together. You don't see the thousand foot up picture, okay? But by the time they advance, they'll get to see that picture.
That's great. Okay, David, that was great. Great demonstration. It looks awfully violent. I'm going to ask you about that in a moment. So,
Okay.
thanks a lot for that.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Seems very violent. Talk to me
Okay,
about it.
okay.
I don't know if violence is the right word. Might scare people away from your place.
Right.
But, you know, we're defending ourselves for our lives. So,
Right.
Tell me.
So one of the things that I always talk to people about whenever they ask me that question about it being violent, one of the basic things that I ask is, what about poison? Is poisoning your body generally a good idea?
right.
No, it's not a good
Of course
idea,
not.
right? But for example, chemotherapy is poisoning your body, but the reason we use it and the reason why it goes into our body is to fight off a greater evil. Violence is generally not a good idea, but in the middle of the night while you're being threatened and you have your family in the house or whatever the case may be, it is absolutely a good idea.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we live in a world where, like it or not, the only way to defeat violence is with overwhelming violence. Okay, whoever is willing to become the most violent, the fastest, is going to prevail.
Okay, but in this same genre, then, do you find that people become more violent once they've taken classes, or is it
Completely the opposite. Completely
Completely the opposite.
Completely the opposite. People become very relaxed, and I think I've thought about this, and I think part of the reason is because they're no longer afraid, and fear plays a big role in violence. You know, if you are no longer afraid, if I'm not afraid of you, it doesn't matter what you say to me. I'll be more likely to talk to you clearly and with an open mind because I'm not afraid of you. Okay.
Correct. Yeah,
So I
guess-
tend to relax and I tend to be calm, and I don't care what you say, and I don't care what names you call me, and I don't care if you bump into me because I have nothing to prove and I don't have to be scared of you.
I'll bet that carries over even to the business world and into your job. It just gives you a more calm.
Yes. Yeah,
Calming
and
effect.
I've had
Correct.
plenty of students. One in particular that I can think of that he used to be, you know, a hothead,
Right.
and everyone in his family has noticed the change, and they can't explain it. He can. He relates it to Krav Maga, but
That's it. Sure. And what do you love about what you're doing? I mean, why do you love this so much? I can see you have a passion for this.
yes, I love what I do because I love to teach people how to defend themselves. I love to see people learning and ultimately see that little spark in their eye when they finally get it, and that's priceless.
Okay. How long does that usually take before they finally get it on average?
You
Weeks,
know,
months, what do you
I've seen people, you know, I've seen people change in a matter of 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, but the thing is, you know, you change. You know, in the first 2 weeks, you'll change again, you'll get more and more and more, and you become better. And it's
Right.
just the progression.
Right.
You know, the lifespan of a student is just amazing to watch. From the first day that they walk in and you look at them, whether it's 2 weeks later or 2 months later or 2 years later, it's
Right.
a big change,
Big
no matter
difference.
what.
Sure. And I know that's true because I hear so much about your place up in Yorktown, so it's doing great. How do you go about attracting people to Krav Maga?
How do we go about it? Well, doing shows like this
Okay,
is one
that's
way.
one way. Okay.
Okay, and of course word of mouth. Our students are raving fans, and they talk about us, and they get us out to do presentations for their organizations, and you know, that's the way we get out to the public. Yeah.
All right. And what makes a great student for you?
What makes a great student? I think what makes a great student more than anything else is perseverance. You know, the willingness to keep coming back. What makes a great student is a student that's there for themselves.
Right.
It's not there for any other reason other than to challenge themselves. And that's what makes a great student. They don't have to be the most talented. They don't have to be the greatest. They have to have that attitude like, I'm doing this for myself, and I don't care what I look like, and I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Right.
That's a great student.
That's a great. Okay. And do you guarantee results? I mean, someone comes to you, they can say, okay. And what kind of results?
Okay. We do guarantee results. We guarantee that they will change. They will
Right.
change noticeably. Other people will notice their change. First thing that will change is their mind, again, like as I stated earlier, and then the body is going to follow.
Right.
There's just no question in my mind. And, you know, if you're enrolled in our program and after a month, 2 months, you come to me and you say, hey, I'm not getting anything out of it, but you've been coming to class, I'll be the first one to say, you know what, you're right.
Right. Okay. So you just.
Right. Right. It's never happened.
Right.
It's never happened.
No. I mean, they're always going to get better. Does someone have to be
Always.
strong, I mean, to be involved in the Krav Maga?
No. Again, in the Israeli army, where it was developed, men and women served in the army, so it's not based on strength.
Right. And so that's why, you'll get teenagers who can do this with no
Oh, yeah.
problem. You'll get young kids. What's the youngest student you've ever had?
My daughter,
Okay.
3.5, 4.
3.5, and she's
Right.
practicing
And
Krav Maga.
and after that, it's been 4.5, 5. Yeah. So
Okay.
this is that age group.
They can start really young. Is this, just for my own, I see, kids in karate classes, they have them windows, and you're viewing these classes, and they're all yelling and screaming. I think that's great for the kids socially as well. What do you think?
I absolutely think so.
In the Krav Maga also, do they get involved in these larger classes where they
Yes.
all feel a sense of togetherness? And,
Yes,
You know?
and it's very important. It's very important for the kids that age,
Right.
and even for adults. It's
Right.
amazing the friendships that you make in the class. And I've seen it. I've seen plenty of students that come in for the first time, and within 3 weeks they're going out with a buddy, classmate. It's great. So it's just as good for kids as it is for adults.
Okay. And just once again now, before we start closing here, is it the difference between, say, Krav Maga and karate and jiu-jitsu? Just review that one more time, because those are the names that people hear all the time.
Simplicity. The Krav Maga system is very simple. We don't focus on tradition, so we don't wear uniforms. We don't take off our shoes. Okay,
Right.
so we wear our sneakers.
Okay.
And it's just a very simple system to learn. It's the kind of thing where you can become proficient within weeks.
Right.
months, not years.
I see.
Okay? You know, yeah, right. In order to be proficient in other martial arts, it can be said, depending on the martial arts, that it could take you up to 5 years to be proficient in it. And Krav Maga, and to be able to defend yourself. Krav Maga, very simple system, within weeks. And it has to be that way. It has to be that way because we have to be able to teach it. Again, thinking about the military, you have to be able to teach soldiers in a very short period of time, so that you have to be able to teach them in a way so that they can retain the information and always have it.
Right. So
Right.
that's the simplicity
Right.
part. And if somebody wanted to get information about Krav Maga, where would they go? Do you have a website?
Yes.
Would they just Google it, so to
Yeah.
speak?
Well, you can certainly Google Krav Maga, okay,
Uh-huh.
and you'll find tons of information on Krav Maga.
Okay.
If you're looking for us specifically, it's either Yorktown, www.yorktownfitnesscenter.com,
Okay.
or KravMagaNewYork.com.
Great. Great. And
Okay.
if you have one message to deliver to a prospect who would be thinking about, well, I don't know, how would you?
I would tell them, I guess I would tell them, if you risk very little, you're going to gain very little.
Right.
If you risk a lot, you'll gain greatly. And take a chance with us, because if you want to make a change, if you are the type of person that is kind of tired of looking at yourself in the mirror and you want something different in your life, this could very easily be it. So
Right.
take a chance.
Great. David, thanks for being with me. That was terrific.
Thank you,
I learned
sir.
a lot. I didn't know much about Krav Maga. If you have any questions for David at his fitness center, or you would like to get more information from him, please email him or look on his website, and he'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show.